Hello and welcome, beloveds, to another episode of Ask Dr. Mumbi. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray, that you are well in all your ways and that you're moving into living life truly on your own terms. Thanks to every single person that has subscribed to this channel. Go ahead and subscribe, beloveds. Don't forget to like the video as you're watching so that, we're fighting those algorithms, beloveds. We're fighting those algorithms. And there's so much that is happening among the melanated conscious community. So many of us are coming online. So many are awakening and finding their own truths. So many are having diverse experiences as very, very different powers come online. Do not panic, beloveds. If you start, seeing if you've been told a ghost or seeing spirit or hearing from spirit, don't panic. It just means that, you're stepping out of the matrix more and more and more. Definitely join our Patreon page if you want to go deeper spiritually. If you'd like to ask me any particular questions, the links are definitely down below. I've been getting a lot of questions, beloveds, about spiritual baths. People want to know how to take them, why do they work, but mainly people have been saying, how do I take the spiritual baths, how do we do it, etc., etc. So I'd get into that, but first let me give you the why it's important. Everything, as I keep saying, is mental first, is spiritual first. So anything that we're seeing physically with these two eyes is actually a physical representation of something that exists spiritually that we can only see with the first eye. And water, there's so much research that's been done on water, beloveds. Water is alive. It's an extremely intelligent element. It has many, many different powers. If you see it has the power to cleanse. And these are the powers that people who come from the water nations also have. Purification. Water has a power to pull out the toxicity and flow it out of you. And water has, is used even as a resurrection power. When the religious folk want to say you've been born again, you're baptized into a new you, so water has so much power, both physically and spiritually, and it can really help you a lot, especially with the clearing and cleansing process, which is the most important process to start with, to incorporate spiritual baths or using water in your clearing. And, it doesn't even just have to be spiritual baths, but even using water, beloveds. Like if you have pain, like let's say you're in the middle of freaking nowhere and all of a sudden you get cramps, or you're in, you get a headache and you're in severe pain and you don't have any, first of all, you shouldn't be taking any pills to begin with. But let's just say you all of a sudden you develop a headache. You could literally talk to the water, and this will tell you how far you've come spiritually if the water responds. That's how you know. But you could literally put your hand over the water and ask the water. It's all about intention. It's not about saying specific words, please heal my headache, or help me to remove this headache from my mind, more of a command. I know we've been told commands that we remove this headache from my mind, and then you drink that water. And if you have the spiritual power, beloveds, that headache will go within a few seconds. You can even talk that headache out of your mind, but those are stories for other days. So water is something that can really, really work with you. And spiritual baths really help to cleanse and remove and accelerate your purification process. Because there's some things we can't do in our own power. But when we work with an agent like water, it can really accelerate our releasing process. You don't necessarily need a bath. I know a lot of my African brothers and sisters who watch me may not necessarily have a bath, a bathtub or whatever. So you can do it in many ways. The only thing is to engage with water. In fact, when I was doing my deepest cleansing, I was actually doing it with a bucket, from a bucket of water with a calabash, which you can also do. And so you can either you fill your bathtub, or you fill a bucket with water, and then you can put different things in it. I highly advise salts, sea salts, Epsom salts, because these will pull the physical toxins from your body, and it really feels good. So I would add the salt, but anything you're adding into the water, beloveds, think of it as, a magical tool, but think of it as an element that can hear you. We've been so disconnected from the world that we think we're the only ones who have the power to think and hear and speak and listen. No, it's a big lie. So, you put everything you put into your bath, put it with intention. So when you put the salt, may the salt work as a purifier and remove all the physical toxins from my body. Thank you for assisting me to do this. Lavender is a good one, especially if you haven't been sleeping, if you've got sores, etc. If you've got like sore muscles, etc., etc. Lavender is really good, even spiritually, for just finding peace, for helping you relax, etc., etc. And there's a lot of, you guys, you have to do your own research. There's so many different kinds of essential oils that you can use. I would definitely recommend investing in a few essential oils, kind of like doing your research on the things that are kind of disturbing you the most, and then investing in a few essential oils. They're not that cheap, but the lavenders of this world. But usually even just salt is good enough, and for us who are, in the middle of nowhere, in the heart of nature, speak to nature, meditate on it, and see what leaves nature brings you, to put into your water. The bitter leaves, the guava leaves that you can put into your water, and then you let it sit. But the most important thing is not so much what you put, all these, additionals. You could just even have plain water. But the most important thing is the next step, which is kind of interacting with nature and putting your intention into water, because water is the purifier. The water nations give us healing. They give us miraculous transformation, miraculous restoration. It was the first element that was here. They're the first nations that were here, and they're always here to help. Let's take a short break. When we come back, I'll tell you the most important part of the spiritual bath, which is setting your intentions into the water and kind of, coding the water. Let me put it like that. We'll be right back.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, Africa.
Welcome back, beloveds, to Ask Dr. Mumbi. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? Go ahead and like the video if you haven't already, so we can continue to, override those algorithms. Thanks to every single person that supports this spiritual channel on Patreon. We appreciate, love you so much. You can always email me on that platform with, some of your concerns. And if you have any question that you'd like us to answer, the other alternative is Ask Dr. Mumbi. You can, I should create an email actually, but it's drmumbi@drmumbishow.com. You can send me your question, and then I just pick the one that's most requested every couple of weeks. So the one I've been getting a lot this last month is spiritual baths. How do we take them? What is the purpose of them? As I say, the water nations are the healers, and there's so much power in water. Also consider that you're 75% water, and you'll notice whenever you enter, like the water always calibrates. All water is connected, all water is related, and so when you use water, water is extremely intelligent. Water has memory. Water has many capabilities and abilities. So when you engage the powerful element of water to assist you in your cleansing and healing process, it is absolutely powerful, beloveds. And remember, it's your intention, not the word. So don't be limited by the fact that you're speaking English into the water. But after you've put whatever you need to put, and I would definitely look into whatever you need help with clearing. The Epsom salts of this world are the best, because the salt just helps to really remove a lot of the physical toxins as well as spiritual toxins. But lavender, and there's many others. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank right now, but there's many others, and you just need to look into kind of the experiences that you're going through right now. Black seed oil is also a really good one. I just used to go with spirit, but I always felt the most important thing was the intention that I put into the water. And the thing is, the best would be to have your own oil that you create, either through infusion, where you just fill it with like lavender leaves and all these other leaves, and then you put your oil and then you put it on your altar, or where you pray, where you're just always in your spiritual space, and always remember to like amp up that oil. And then when you use that oil to take a bath in, and you can use the base of like olive oil, which is already quite mystical. When you use that, to take your spiritual bath. That's a whole other level, and this is why we need to supercharge our things and give everything we're using on the spiritual journey, and on this awakening journey, to have our own signature, and to continuously put our signature with it on it, so that as we continue to rise, it rises with us. It continues to take on our new codes, etc., etc. But once you've put everything, whether it's in a bucket or whether it's in a bath, you need to literally stand over the water and put your intentions in it. I remember when I started this, I used to cry because, sometimes I really wanted incredible healing, beloveds, from many things, both physically and spiritually. And I remember I used to cry over the bath and just say, take this burden from me, release me from this, things that I don't know. I'd ask the water for anything. Show me my enemies, expose to me who's working against me, expose to me who's been doing magic against me. And I'd sit in that bath, release the pain of this, release the heartache, help me to release my tears. And sometimes by the time I was done, it was like the temperature of that water would almost get hotter, and it would almost be electric, beloveds. And I would focus on one thing. So, so because of, gosh, I really don't like to share my personal stories, but I used to have fibroids, beloveds. And this is something I had because I used to perm my hair when I was a child, and all these chemicals, etc., etc. And so this created an imbalance in me and many other women. And so, and also in diet and many, many other things. And this is something I really wanted a healing from. And let me tell you, beloveds, through chanting and spiritual cleansing, because I had been told I had to go through an operation, etc., etc. Through chanting and doing the necessary spiritual work, especially the spiritual baths, beloveds, those fibroids were able to be cleansed out of and purified out of my system. It's a whole testimony. Maybe I'll share in the future. So this is something I'm not telling you based on research. It's something that has worked for me. And sometimes it's not even the physical ailments that we need release from, but it's the emotional ones and the psychological ones. Those are the ones that are creating cancers in us physically. And so just to release us from pain and heartache, even those ones that we don't know, to create balance, to create abundance even, because it doesn't always have to be releasing, but, water can also replenish. Water is life. So as much as you can ask it to take something from you, you can also ask for good things to be replaced with what is taken away. And I'm telling you, when I used to do, I don't do the spiritual baths as much as possible. I'm just on another level now. But when I was really starting and going through the most intense part of my awakening journey, as I said, the water would be electric. And when I'd sit in it, because sometimes once you've spoken over it, you should kind of walk away and allow, for minimum 10 minutes, if you can do 30 minutes, and allow the energy of the water, to calibrate the codes to be accepted by every single molecule in that water, and then come back and sit in it for as long as necessary. And sometimes if you've really done the necessary work, you'll find yourself sobbing, that snotty kind of like loud, very ugly crying. You'll find yourself weeping. You'll find yourself snobbing. You'll find that once you take the bath, you'll just want to sleep and rest because something has happened. You see, what you've coded into the water, when you sit in that water, because you are 75% water, those codes are absorbed into you, beloveds, and the healing must happen because they have to calibrate. And so, depending on how dense your vibration is, it will either start to break down those toxins, because the memories of pain or fear they're not just here in like some kind of file or memory bank. They're in our blood, which is liquid. So when we start to, command these things to come into balance and command the negativity to start to leave, the inside must. And that's why sometimes you need to do renewed spiritual baths, because you're still trying to strengthen your voice, but something must happen. And so you'll just feel it. And so continue until you feel like something has, totally transformed and changed. There were some things where it took me months I had to take spiritual baths whenever I was led, week in, week out. There's somewhere I felt led to do it 3 days in a row, 7 days in a row. It's nice when you have a spiritualist who can kind of guide you based on your situation on what to do. But I always say you have your spiritual team. That's why I always encourage you, beloveds, really just listen to your intuition. Learn to listen and hear yourself. You can never go wrong with your spiritual path. You know what I mean? As long as you've put your intention. And then, when I was still because I kind of started this when I was leaving my religious psychosis. I even used to speak tongues into that, like where I couldn't even understand. It was moaning, beloveds. And something would be released. And then make sure you always take a spiritual bath when you have time, because if you've done it right, it will be a massive release, and you'll need to rest. You'll need to come back to your feelings. Sometimes it's good to just sit alone and write. This is not something you can share, beloveds. This is not something you can even discuss. It's very, very personal, and you'll need to just sit in your own energy and space and absorb like what has happened, become aware of what has been released, and give thanks to the water. And it's always good once you're done with your spiritual bath, and even before, I should have mentioned this before, to kind of smoke out the room so that those energies are absorbed. Open the windows and let that energy out. If you'd like me to continue on this, or if you have any questions now from here, definitely leave it in the comments below or email me to Kopamoja.